They just turned it.
Who? You telling me? With some green peas and okra and some rice and gravy.
I swear. Great.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah,
I said, we'll be there.
hey sugar, how are you? How you doing? I'm doing well. And yourself?
Yeah, no, but if you
The Super Bowl, no, baby, that's the Super Bowl Sunday. Y'all better get it together. 'Cause we finna win. Hey, we just hope we can talk to each other after we that part. That part right there. Hey, John Glover. Hey, John Settle. How are you? You going to school? Of course I am. Yes. What's no mean? Girl, y'all need to get some business. Y'all about to take care of the city business. I take care of the other part, okay? Y'all need to understand. Look, y'all need to understand. Say that again.
Order.
I don't care how you dress it up, you dress it down, you won. Y'all gonna really be sick come Sunday. Now, y'all got it mixed up. Hey, Ron, how you doing? Good. this language right here. 1, 2, 3 of these. We assume all legal liability for our manufacturing.
We can ask him there. I'm Doris.
Oh, is
There,
it?
yeah.
Okay, I just need to know if that's customary. Because that means we're maintaining these licenses, trying to get in different areas. And what so these people went down according to the CI on the southern loop. And we got folks still taking it on yeah, explain it. Assume all legal liability. Okay, John.
What are you talking about for? No.
Is that a handout for the meeting, or do I need to make
Made a couple of extra.
I've got an article this week. I got an article.
You gonna be giving it when you win?
Tom's not here today, so I'm not gonna be, I can try to answer that question after. Thanks.
Mr. Green? What's up, man?
All right. Ready?
We'll find out in a little bit.
The meeting of Shreveport City Council is now called to order. Because of her stylish shirt, I will ask Ms. John Glover to lead us in the prayer. But not to upset the Cowboys fans, I will ask Councilwoman Taylor to lead us in the pledge. Councilwoman Taylor.
Dear Father, we come before you so grateful for this beautiful day you have given us. We are about to enter into taking care of the business of the city. And we ask that each of those who have been appointed through our election will consider the information that is put before them and that they will support or not in accordance with what they have learned by their own investigation. We thank you for this day, Lord. We ask you to forgive us of our sins. And we ask all of this in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would ask everybody to keep William Daniels in your prayers as well. Him and his wife, they were involved in a pretty bad accident on Wednesday. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Taylor.
Present.
Councilman Brooks.
Here.
Councilman Taylor-Farrell.
Here, ma'am.
Councilman Butcher.
Here.
Councilman Jackson.
Here.
Councilman Green.
I'm here.
And Councilwoman Bowman.
Tomorrow, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting and administrative conference, Monday, August 26, 2024, and the city council meeting Tuesday, August 27, 2024. Does any council member have any awards, recognition, or distinguished guests not to exceed 15 minutes?
I will tomorrow, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, do you have any awards, recognition, or distinguished guests not to exceed 15 minutes?
I do not.
Mr. Mayor, do you have any communication relative to city business or the awards or recognitions not to exceed 15 minutes?
I do not, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. I do want to acknowledge Commissioner Ron Cawthorn, my commissioner. Thank you for joining us today. Reports. Does any members have any questions for property standards, Mr. Green? Councilman Brooks?
Mr. Green, we spoke earlier, 6 and 700 block of Columbia.
Yes,
Are y'all going to have time to look into that this week?
tomorrow morning.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Green, could you also look at the 6 and 700 block of Rutherford?
Rutherford?
It's the other street on the other side of the park,
Oh, well, we're gonna do
around the park?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
okay.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
Okay.
Everyone should have received the revenue collection plan report via email. Public hearing, there are none. So everybody take out your cameras and phones. In the absence of Mr. Dart, we'll have our honorable mayor reading the legislation. So will there be any legislation added to the agenda today, Mr. Mayor?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Today we will have public comments on non-agenda items and agenda items. Vice Chair, do we have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. We have Mrs. Sharon Borkins. Ms. Borkins, thank you for coming. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. I was coming because first of all, I want to say good afternoon to Mayor and to the council. I was coming because I needed to find out, were there any update on the last time I came, because I was told that I was supposed to be contacted so that I could know what was going on with the liquor store being next door to the church. And so I haven't heard anything. So I was coming to see.
They're still investigating it, so no official permits have been issued at this point, so they're still looking into it, but it's still with NPC at the moment right now.
Okay, and then with the one on the corner of 70th Street and Fairfield, the one that has the license for the liquor store, have we heard anything on that?
I haven't, is Officer Bradley here? Mr. Clark, do you have any information on the one she's speaking on?
We are looking into it. I just was made aware of it today, Chairman Jackson. But in all likelihood, from what we've seen, I think this is the one that's behind where the old grocery store had once been. And from what I'm understanding, it's met all of the requirements and spacing in order to become a liquor store. But I'll check that one more time.
Okay.
Yes, please. This another one? This another one? Or the same one?
I'll get you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not right. That's not what we intended. That's not what we intended at all. Not at all.
Thank you. We have Miss April Dom.
Dom.
Huh?
Dom.
Miss April Dunn. Come on, Miss April. I couldn't make it out. No, ma'am. I got on the wrong glasses today.
Even when it's clearly written, people can't pronounce 4 letters.
Yes, ma'am. You have 3 minutes. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, Council and Mayor Arsenault. My name is April Dom. I am the president of the Highland Neighborhood Association. Highland, we have hosted many social services in the past. We continue to do so. We are concerned of the potential size, possibly up to 112 beds in the scope of a program at the Mid-City Hotel that has been asking for to be rezoned. Although H&A Highland Neighborhood Association, was notified of an NPP in June. None of the 3 buildings' tenants were notified by letter. You should know that the building is currently 46% occupied. A sign was staked in front of the building in a grassy area, according to John Strand, the owner of the Magnolia Pit, which he didn't even see that until someone pointed that out to him. The June 20th meeting was probably not well attended due to the lack of a notification system. It is my understanding in the application for rezoning, which a neighborhood participation is required and will not be deemed complete until all mandatory NPP documents are submitted to the MPC. As Tom Arsenault pointed out at the second meeting, the NPP documents were from the first meeting. The NPP documents did not show his written concerns that he handed to the council for the applicant, and his recommendations were omitted. This does represent another error in the application and consideration procedures in this case. I do think it's important that you all know that Tom Arsenault was there as a neighbor. He's 2 blocks from the site. He was not there as the mayor. It's hard for a lot of people to differentiate, but he did not say, hello, I'm Mayor Tom Arsenault, but I am a neighbor to this building. We were granted another NPP and attempted to record this meeting since the first meeting's notes for that staff report were not complete, as well as the fact there was evidence that appropriate notification was not done. We were told by the applicant's counsel this was not a public meeting and that we may not record. Again, we only wanted to do so because we felt the first staff report was not nearly adequate. The room was packed full of people with concerns this time. Approval standard 1, according to the MPC, the compatibility with the existing use and zoning of nearby property. As mentioned, the area west of Line is not like the area where the applicant would like to be rezoned. We are still largely residential, and businesses usually find an historic home to set up their businesses. The west side of the street has been like this, has been institutional for a very long time. There are very few homes, maybe a half a dozen at the most.
Your time is up.
Oh,
Thank you
shoot.
for coming.
Just one more paragraph. We're simply asking for balance. That's all we're asking for. We have a lot of services, and my friends will pick up where I've left off. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We have Mrs. Teresa Scott.
Ms. Scott, thank you for coming. Welcome. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, name is Teresa Edgerton Scott, 549 Wilkinson Street. I've lived in Highland for 40 years. I'm past president of the Neighborhood Association. I've been a supporter of Highland on multiple boards and general neighborhood activism, which has benefited all of Highland residents. I've been present at negotiations with large social service agencies, either as part of the neighborhood impact meeting now required by the NPC, or prior to that, agencies approached the Neighborhood Association specifically to talk about their plans prior to going to the NPC. So all questions and concerns were addressed ahead of their rezoning application. During these meetings, the social service staff, their lawyers, and our architects described in very specific details their programs, their clients, their building modification. We reached compromises on issues or questions were answered to our satisfaction. I was part of the recent Philadelphia Center Neighborhood Impact meeting. There were parts of their plan that were going to cause significant issues to the neighbors and frankly to them. When we pointed it out, they agreed to modify their plan. This is not an instance of not in my backyard. We already have at least 10 inpatient, outpatient, and group rehab centers in the Highland neighborhood. The MPC would, Mid-City Hotel would make it either 11 or 12, and that doesn't even count the stealth ones. My colleagues who attended the MPC board meeting were told that Highland is branded as a social service neighborhood and that we should get used to that, and if we didn't like it, we should move elsewhere. I want to point out that to the City Council, to all of you all, that nowhere in the master plan does it state or imply that Highland, one of the city's historic neighborhoods, is designated as a social services area or a rehab district. There are no MPC documents that say Highland is just a social service district. Highland is a welcoming neighborhood. It's a diverse neighborhood, and diversity doesn't scare us. But I emphasize it's a neighborhood. It is a neighborhood undergoing a new revitalization effort at the moment. As part of this new initiative, it's been gratifying to me to see that people all over the city are willing to come together and actually give money to make this initiative succeed. And these aren't just Highland residents, they're your constituents too. My husband and I could live anywhere. We're retired, we don't have any family ties, but we love Shreveport, and specifically, we love Highland. We ask that you consider us too as an investor in your neighborhood. We've invested time, we've renovated 3 different houses, we choose to live here. We request that the plans that the Lexmark out-of-state company has submitted are incomplete. They have not been able to answer our questions, and we think that this deserves more attention.
Ms. Scott?
Thanks.
Thank you. Mrs. Charlotte Russell? Ms. Russell, welcome, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm here to speak about the same situation with the Motor City Hotel. I'm a neighbor. This facility would be within walking distance of my house, which we recently moved to and are investing 6 figures into remodeling. So my understanding is that grounds for approval of this zoning change would be that the applicant shows that their proposal and their change benefits the city as a whole. And in theory, there would be job creation. However, at neither neighborhood meeting, the one in June or the one just a couple weeks ago in August, were they able to answer our questions about staffing, ratios, security, medical providers. There was no information. They deferred only to the Department of Health and Hospitals website as their requirements. So we really have no idea what kind of benefit this is going to be to the neighborhood, because we don't know what exactly they're planning to do, how many beds they're going to have. They've said 30 to 35. They've asked for 2.3 acres, 3 entire addresses to be rezoned, but the plan is only for 30 to 35 beds. Our biggest concern is not 30 to 35 beds. Our biggest concern is rezoning an entire city block to an institutional campus, which right now the neighborhood has some say in whether that happens or not and what business opens there. However, once it's opened and rezoned, or rezoned and then opened, the neighborhood has no say what goes in there as long as it's allowed under ICC. And when we look as neighbors at what's allowed under ICC, that's very concerning. We do not want this property rezoned and then potentially used for something that could be super harmful to our neighborhood and to our community. So this IC zoning, if it is approved, would be forever, and we're very concerned about that. And I would just like to reiterate that they were not able to answer our questions. When we asked about staffing, when we asked about security, when we asked about job creation, when we asked anything related to the business plan, we do not have that information as neighbors. And I don't know if you have it as council. I don't know if the MPC had it when they approved this request. So we would ask that you either request more information or reject this application, please.
Thank you. Mr. Tom Arsenault, you have 3 minutes.
I didn't sign up, Mr. Chairman. I think it'd be inappropriate for me to comment. Since
That's
I'm
good enough, right?
Here
there.
is Mayor. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Vice Chair,
Yes.
I have a comment, please.
Yeah.
April, Charlotte, Teresa, thank you guys for coming. Lexmark has agreed to a smaller footprint. We don't have all the details worked out yet, so I'm not sure how we're going to handle this tomorrow, but I understand your concerns. I was at the meeting, of course, and it was packed, and there was a lot of neighborhood concern, and we're trying to reach some type of a compromise. So thank you guys for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Ronald Carthen.
Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity to stand in front of you all today. I'm standing here concerning two issues. First of all, liquor stores. I understand there is a possibility of a liquor store being on 70th Street at Fairfield, 7th Street at Henderson as well. Even though it's not in the agenda here today, I just want to speak out on it. We have more than enough liquor stores in the Cedar Grove area. When you look at the entire area, that's one of the things that our community has come together on to say that we want no more. And before I sit down, I would also like to share, I want to thank Property Standards Public Work and the police department as well. They've been very, very effective and have supported our neighborhood, particularly in District 10 as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Bernie Woods was up next, but he just stepped out. Mr. Bernie Woods, thank you for coming. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, thank you. To the city council, the mayor, thank y'all for having me. Good to see some of you guys. I hadn't seen y'all since y'all was running. At any rate, my name is Bernie Woods, and I'm a business owner. I actually own liquor stores. I only own 2, but I'm here to say that there are enough liquor stores in this town. I'm not anti-business. I am definitely not anti-business. I'm not anti-liquor stores, but enough is enough. What happens when you oversaturate liquor stores? Number one, and I think there is an oversaturation. I don't know how they have become approved when there was a moratorium on liquor stores, a moratorium, and I don't know how it got changed. But since that moratorium was lifted, there has been just a proliferation of liquor stores. There's a new one on Line Avenue that I visited today that I was unaware. It opened in the last few months. My question is, how are they opening liquor stores and there is no knowledge from the community? Now, I'm a business owner right there, and I think that I would know, but that C-store that's on 1831 Line Avenue is now a liquor store. It's a C-store and a liquor store, but they got more liquor than they have groceries and convenience items. But there is enough liquor stores in Shreveport. If you count where my location is, there have been, since I opened, and it took me 3 years to get one open, now they look like 30 days to get open. There is, from my location is a Line Avenue location. Right up the street from me is a supermarket, Super One, has liquor. Right up the street from Super One, now Walmart has liquor. That's 3 new liquor stores in the last, I guess, year. And if you count the number that is in a mile radius, you'd be surprised. So, and the advent of keep adding liquor stores is only going to force some of the smaller independents to close. It's going to be just like Uri. You're going to have empty buildings and all kind of other issues that go along with that. There's only so much a market can stand. And I think Shreveport has enough liquor stores for the market. Thank you.
Mr. Woods, I'm gonna ask Mr. Clark to come up just so he can explain the ordinance from MPC. To my knowledge, the ordinance that's currently in effect has a lot to do with spacing, where other liquor stores are located, also schools, and if it fits the right criteria, then based on that current ordinance, it does not come before City Council. So we're all concerned about the number of liquor stores that have popped up since the moratorium. We will be looking at that particular ordinance to see if there's anything that we need to do in order to try to stiffen up a little bit. But I want to kind of let Mr. Clark explain currently what's in the books, what's on the record, and why these liquor stores are able to operate and get approval as of today.
Thank you. My son is here. He was wishing to speak also. He is here. And I guess he didn't get to fill out the card. But is it appropriate for me to advocate for him to speak? He's an owner also.
I appreciate that. If he did not get it in time, I will have to ask the council if they're willing to suspend the rules to allow him to speak. But allow me to let Mr. Clark speak first.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, council. I have to report to you that since the liquor store ordinance has been adopted, 10 out of 12 applications for liquor stores have been denied. We set up a program with your direction of ensuring that liquor stores are not operating, new liquor stores, not existing liquor stores, are not operating in neighborhoods, that they're not close to churches, schools, they're not within 1,000 feet of another liquor store. All of these things have been important, and that's why we have such a decline in the number of liquor stores that have been approved. Some of these big box grocery stores and Walmart are not within that close of proximity to residents. They're not close to other liquor stores, and that's why they're able to be approved. It's just we came up with something that would keep liquor stores out of the neighborhood, because that's what I have been hearing for 30 years, is that we don't want any more liquor stores in the neighborhood. So in all likelihood, there will not be any more liquor stores approved in the inner city neighborhood. But when you look at North Market, when you look at Uri Drive, when you look at Line Avenue, these are major corridors. And they're business corridors, and they're designed for retail stores and so forth. And there might be some more locations where they could, a liquor store could operate. This ordinance is very similar to the sexually oriented business ordinance. If you meet the requirements for the ordinance, you're approved. If you don't meet the requirements, you are denied. There's no variances or anything else. You either meet it or you don't meet it. If you want us to research and come up with some more ideas, this really prevents the proliferation of liquor stores. I mean, because you can't have a liquor store within 1,000 feet of another liquor store. So how are you getting saturated with that spacing requirement is there, and it starts from any liquor store that's open now. Another liquor store could not be within 1,000 feet from it, and we go through all the other spacing requirements. I think, and it doesn't matter, but I think that this has been a very successful ordinance. I've been here for a while, and the city and the city council has tried everything under the sun to eliminate liquor stores in the inner city neighborhoods, and they've been totally unsuccessful. This is successfully preventing liquor stores from going into the inner city neighborhoods. So I think it's very successful, but we will do whatever we're asked to do to make amends to the existing ordinance.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, Councilwoman Bowman and then Councilman Butcher.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clark. Per our previous discussion, the perception is too many liquor stores. So we have to listen to our citizens and our constituents. We don't have a problem with being open for business. We don't mind restaurants coming that want to sell alcohol, but the small box liquor stores are causing a problem with loitering. They're causing a problem with crime. So the perception is there are too many. So I think we need to go back. The ordinance is not working. Respectfully, it's not working. So
I'd like to
it's
disagree
something that
with you
needs to be
respectfully.
changed. And I'm willing to work with you and other council members are as well. But right now, that ordinance is not working. It's too close. 1,000 feet is still too close. So we can go back to the drawing board, but that's just from the constituents I'm talking to, it's really, really too close.
Councilman Butcher.
Mr. Clark, my concern is more of the Cedar Grove issue, like Commissioner Cawthorn was speaking about. We discussed that liquor store at Henderson, and I guess it comes right into Henderson and 70th Street. I guess it's a new development that's going in there. I went over there the day after the council meeting and rode through there, and there's a church that backs up to that liquor store, and then there's a church on the west side of the road next to that liquor store. And I think I saw an email that you said that y'all had investigated it and there weren't churches. So I rode back by there on a Wednesday night because I thought maybe the church was vacant, and there were like 10 cars in the parking lot in the one to the west. So I remember, and Mr. Woods, honestly, this may a little bit be because we wanted fairness, and it may be because of your liquor store, because the council that was sitting here prior to this council wanted fairness because we felt like that it took you too long, took two councils and just a bunch of mess to get through. So that's why this ordinance, that's why the ordinance was passed, but I don't necessarily think that it's working as is. I think it needs a little tweaking, but I really, Mr. Clark, before y'all issue that liquor license to that store on 70th Street, please go back over there and investigate that, because I'm almost 100% sure that is a working church on the right side or the west side of it, and I think behind it on 71st, there's another church there. And you've got Apollo Liquor right there. You've got the liquor store, the Cajun Daiquiri or whatever it is on the corner. I don't know if they're still operating or not, but I just don't think that we need another liquor store in that proximity. As far as overhauling the liquor ordinance as it stands, I think we do need to look at that, and I'm not opposed to possibly, I want us to be open for business, but I also am not opposed to doing maybe a 3-month or 6-month moratorium on issuing new liquor store license in the city. I'm happy to hear that if we've been doing this for 2 years and you've only approved 10, you've only approved 2 out of 12, you've denied 10, we are making some progress. But I had no clue. My drugstore's across the street from that one at Line Avenue and Olive, and I've been wondering why somebody would put a convenience store across the street from the Circle K, and I couldn't figure it out. But now Mr. Woods answered my question. It's a liquor store, and I think that right next to our medical corridor and next to Northwestern School of Nursing and all those churches around there, I think it's a horrible location for a liquor store. but we didn't have any knowledge that it was even coming in. So maybe if we communicated better, maybe if it came to the council in some way, I don't know, but we need to work on it. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
If the council doesn't oppose, I would like to yield the remaining of Mr. Wood's time to his son. You good? Okay, well, never mind. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Vice Chair, any other requests to speak?
No.
Okay.
Is he coming?
No. We will have an executive appointment to consider tomorrow. There are no items on the consent agenda for introduction or to be adopted. Mr. Mayor, would you please proceed with regular agenda legislation? Do you have some water over there?
I have some water, yes, sir.
Wanted to make
And I
sure,
got
you
cough
know.
drops. I think I'm in good shape.
It's your first go around. We're gonna be patient with you.
Thank you. That was going to be my first request, Mr. Chairman. Resolution number 128 would authorize Patrick Young at 9516 Wallace Lake Road to make a connection to the city of Shreveport's water and sewer system. I believe this was postponed at the last meeting. 132, authorize the mayor to sign an approval of the assignment by Cypress Energy Partners of 3 oil and gas leases to Paloma Natural Gas LLC. 133, 134, and 135 would each authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development that would obligate the city to pay 10% of some lighting changes, 2 of them on I-20 on I-20 interchanges and 1 at an I-49 interchange. 136 authorizes the mayor to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with Progressive Construction Company. This is a company that will be doing work on the I-20 reconstruction on the Shreveport side, and they will be using some of the site that we have on West 70th Street that houses water and sewer currently, and will eventually house our Public Works Administration building. They have agreed to perform some work over there in exchange for using that as a staging site. 137 provides for the canvassing of the returns and declaring the results of the bond election held on April 27th, and to authorize the incurring of debt and the issuance of bonds, the levy of special taxes. This is simply an administrative recognition of the results of the bond election. 138 recognizes the 54th annual Homecoming Week celebration of Southwood High School. I will try and answer any questions.
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Butcher.
On 128, I'm thinking that's probably going to be withdrawn, but I'll know more tomorrow.
Mr. Mayor, on 133 and 134, it was asked, assuming all liability and maintenance, is that a normal request?
Yes, sir, that is. That's the normal way we do that with a 90-10 split. Yes, sir.
Any other discussions or questions? Mr. Mayor, would you please proceed with introduction of ordinance not to be adopted prior to September 24th, 2024?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Number 107, 108, and 109 all relate to a grant from the federal government of about $11.1 million to purchase new buses. But the city has to provide a 15% match, which is almost $2 million. The ordinance establishes a new project to do that. The local match is from American Rescue Plan funds and the General Fund Reserve. This one was a use it or lose it grant opportunity that Sportran was able to secure. So we decided that was the best way to use those funds to make sure that we could purchase the new buses. 110. I used to have a professor who would say 409 and 4010, but it's 110. Amends Chapter 14 relating to owner and dealer responsibilities and animal control. The Caddo Parish Commission recently passed changes to its animal control ordinance. As I'm sure you know, the parish is responsible for animal control even within the city. This ordinance is designed to make sure that our requirements are the same as the parish requirements so that it's easier to enforce. 111 is an ordinance providing for the incurring of debt and the issuance and sale of not exceeding $88 million of general obligation bonds, Series 2024. This is the first tranche of the general obligation bonds that will be sold pursuant to the bond election. You will have a resolution that will set forth what projects are being funded by this $88 million. If you have further questions, Mr. Busada is here. We'll be glad to answer any of them.
Councilwoman Taylor?
Mr. Mayor, when it comes to animal control, when it comes to animal control, the disposal of dead animals are our responsibility or theirs?
You know, I'm gonna ask either Mr. Norman or, I asked Mr. Norman first if he can answer that question because I get those calls also, Ms. Taylor.
Okay.
Yes, yes, ma'am. We have them reported either on street right of way or, we'll go and pick them up. We don't go on private property to get them, but we do pick up dead animals from
private
the
property is the owner's responsibility?
That's correct.
Okay. I just had that with a horse. Okay. That's what I needed to know. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. De Niro, Washington, can you come up to the podium for me, please? Sorry for putting you on the spot today, but can you just give a brief overview of our fleet of buses and the kind of current conditions they're in?
So our current fleet, we're still operating the first CNG buses that the city purchased back in 2010, 2011, which have met their useful life. We would have to go in and do a midlife refurb, which is about $300,000 per bus. The CNG tanks at this point in time are approaching expiration. So the CNG tanks alone is about an $80,000 replacement. So we were able to work with the federal government to get the grant to bring in about $11 million to replace about 80% of our fleet at this point.
So that grant will replace the 80% of our fleet as long as we're able to match with the $2 million.
The original match was about 20% on the grant. We were able to go back and work with some of our federal partners and get that match down to 15% for the city.
Okay. And the buses are still free.
Buses are still free at this point.
Okay. Any other questions from Mr. Washington?
What's the total dollar amount on them?
The total dollar for this project is a little over $13 million project.
Okay, and so we'll pay 15% of $13 million.
We were paying 15% of the $11 million, the $11.1 million we received from the federal government. That's 15% match, so the total project's a little over $13 million.
What? How many buses do we operate daily? I mean, just on the routes.
So on the routes each day, we operate about 38 buses.
Okay.
In fixed route service, we operate about 40 on-demand vehicles. And then we do have supervisor and staff cars as well.
Well, I'm 100% behind it. I mean, I don't have very many bus stops in District D, but I see the ridership is up, and I also think by visiting other cities of a local size that our buses are much nicer and much better kept. I mean, they just look better. Like Baton Rouge, for example, I noticed that theirs are older and still diesel, and so I think you're doing a good job. So I'll definitely be supporting that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Free money isn't bad.
Any questions?
But it's close.
It's close enough.
Any other questions regarding the ordinance? Mr. Mayor, would you please proceed with ordinance on second reading and final passage?
Yes, ordinance number 40 has to do with the lease of Stageworks. We are making progress there, and hopefully this will be the last time or perhaps one more time that will have to be postponed. Ordinance 70 relates to vacant structures, and I'm still in the process of working with some of the concerned property owners to develop some amendments to that one. So we would ask that both of those be postponed tomorrow. 87 is the zoning case about which you heard some comments today, and I do believe that there there's some possibility of resolving the issues with the neighborhood. So I'll leave that to Mr. Brooks to deal with. Ordinance 97 is a cleanup ordinance. I have handed you a summary of the proposed general fund changes that are those. We had given this to you 2 weeks ago as well. It has not changed since then. I just wanted to make sure you had it with you. Basically, there's a net increase in revenues of about $9.5 million and a corresponding increase in expenditures of about the same amount. These are intended to prepare the budget. We are required by law and by good budgeting techniques to make changes in our budget in anticipation of the 2025 budget to make sure that what we end up with at the end of 24 accurately reflects the revenues and the expenditures for 2024. So I'll be glad to try. I think this sets it forth significantly in the summary, and I'll be glad to try and answer any questions that you may have. Ordinance 98 adds $4,121,600 to the airport's enterprise fund budget. That is a result of oil and gas sales that have occurred during this year. 99 is moves around some money in the streets fund. The impact of that is to add $179,000 to the streets fund. That will be appropriated in the 2025 budget. Ordinance 100 is an ordinance that amends the 2024 budget for the Solid Waste Enterprise Fund. The Solid Waste Enterprise Fund has a shortfall of about $3.5 million this year. That was something that we anticipated because we had, as you recall, we had proposed a $3 solid waste fee in connection with the 2024 budget, which you did not pass. And so this is the catch-up of this. This is what's necessary to subsidize solid waste in the absence of that fund. Ordinance 101 adds $2.6 million to the retained risk internal service fund. This is the result of having to pay higher liability claims and workers' compensation claims than we budgeted for the 2024 budget. Number 102 increases the riverfront budget by a net of $900,000. There's an additional $1,100,000 in prior fund budget after the audit for this year. We were fortunate enough to find that our fund balance at the end of last year was better than we anticipated. It is offset by a $200,000 decrease in casino revenues this year. On the expense side, it increases the transfer to the general fund by $1,985,000 to keep the general fund in balance this year in a lean sales tax year. The net effect is to reduce the fund's reserve by about $1 million. The fund still expects to end 2024 with a balance of more than $1.5 million, even with this transfer. Number 103 and 104 are both related to the Unified Development Code. 103 will update the ability to have mixed residential and commercial uses in the downtown development district. 104 provides for provisions for dwelling units within commercial spaces, not just, I believe it's not just in the downtown area, but also outside the downtown area to accommodate some really more creative mixed uses of property throughout the city. Ordinance 105 is a follow-up to the newly created economic development districts that y'all have created this year. It sets up the special revenue funds that will receive the money that comes in from those as is required by the legislation that you passed to create them. And 106 is a zoning case in Ms. Taylor's district to amend the map to rezone property on the north side of Fordham Drive from C1 Neighborhood Commercial District to I1 Light Industrial Zoning District.
Any questions for the mayor?
Mr. Mayor, can you give me an update on 4th Street when you get a chance?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, is there any other table legislation to be removed from the table today?
No, sir.
Appeals, we have no ABA or property standard appeals to consider today. We have no MPC or ZBA appeals to consider tomorrow. We have no appeals, or any other appeals, Madam Clerk?
No, sir.
Are there any reports from officers, boards, or committees? Vice Chair Green?
Yes, sir. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, we will be having a infrastructure meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, is there a clerk's report?
We'll be having a special meeting right after this meeting, so don't go anywhere.
Thank you. Executive session, there are none. If there's nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.